All right, how's it going out there, folks? Welcome back here to a Thursday, 10:57 a.m. here, California time, December 19th, 2024. Only a few more days left here in the 2024 time period. Goodness, I can't believe it's going to be 2025 already. Absolutely crazy. Time just flying by, I guess, when you're having fun, right? The latest activity here on the Earthquake 3D globe shows looks like a 4.2 earthquake there in the red flag around the Philippines area. Still seeing quite a bit of earthquake activity here. We followed that, or we looked into this last night there in last night's update, and it's in a region, this little, not a little, but decent earthquake swarm here is occurring in an area that's probably fairly well overdue for a six-pointer. Probably a mid or upper six-pointer. There was a 7.5 out here back in 1934 along this plate boundary, just right around the same region that we're seeing the recent activity. So it looks like continued movement there today with the latest quake of 4.2. Still looking at maybe some potential larger scale activity here because as of right now, we're just getting a little bit of earthquake swarming here with really no main quake. If you look at this map here, USGS showing 5 earthquakes here from yesterday in the 5 range, but there's been obviously a handful more, including the 4.2 right now in this area. So looks like things may start to move here in terms of larger scale activity. We'll definitely watch that little hotspot area. All right. Across this area of the states here, got some interesting activity out around the Shreveport, Louisiana region, actually on the Texas side here of the border, near Uncertain, Texas. Is that right? Or is that just a town that maybe, is it actually a town? I'm guessing that's going to be I don't think there's an actual town there called Uncertain. I'm guessing that maybe that's just the wording mixed in here from this earthquake, right? 2 miles southeast of Uncertain, Texas. Interesting. So, yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't see any Uncertain, Texas out here. Either way, there was an earthquake out here this morning, a 3.3. And if you look around the area, there's a lot of oil fields out here listed on the map. Here's one right here, a couple down south here. This earthquake occurring what looks like underneath the Caddo Lake. Yeah, there is an Uncertain. Look at that. Just had to zoom in a little bit. I thought it was maybe a mistake there. Well, that's rather interesting. Uncertain. All right. I learned something new every day here. And I've covered a lot of Texas out there recently in the storm chasing events, but maybe haven't been out here around this area there. That's why I was kind of uncertain myself on whether there was actually a town called Uncertain in Texas. Underneath the lake area, it looks like, for this 3.3. And again, heavily vegetated areas out here, so maybe it might be hard to see some of these oil pumping operations, but there's a couple out there, and they're listed up here on the map. So we know that's a thing out there, a lot of pumping operations. This earthquake was felt, looks like around the Shreveport, Louisiana area, over around Longview, Texas as well. Light, maybe a little bit of moderate shaking there around the epicenter of that earthquake. Some further movement up here around the New Madrid seismic zone as well, with a looks like a 1.6 earthquake. Little explosion or a mine collapse up there around the Burna, Kentucky area late last night. Those collapses there can produce energy. And in this case, that mine collapse produced a 2.3 magnitude reading on the seismograph stations there. Interesting. Texas area still getting hit with the oil fields out there. Nothing new across this area of the New Madrid or the Yellowstone area. Let me double check that, make sure nothing showing up there on the USGS map. But as always, I do want to verify, and there's really not a whole lot either on the seismograph stations there in the overview fashion of Yellowstone super volcano. One earthquake outside of the Salt Lake City area, Utah region, 2.7 within the last hour here. A couple of various fault systems that run through this area on the west side of this mountain range near Provo, Sandy City area. Nothing big, just a little two-pointer. As we look at Southern California out here, let's see if we got anything above the 2.5 level. Well, that's it. Not a whole lot there above the 2.5 threshold today. Southern California has definitely been in an active period here in the last few months, up until about, I'd say last 3 weeks or so. It's been awfully quiet. Just general microquake activity out there in Southern Cal for now. Some movement here along the San Andreas Fault near the creeping section, but really nothing above the 2.5 level. If you look here across Northern California and Nevada, couple from yesterday, the latest continued movement there across the Petrolia area. Very shallow earthquake activity with a 2.6 and a handful of other quakes in that area as well. They're only showing one earthquake today so far. I haven't been watching these seismograph stations here, but it looks pretty quiet on the seismos here over the last 15 minutes or so. A little bit of movement there in the China Lake station. That's down around the Ridgecrest area. So there is some small earthquake activity occurring down here, but nothing being reported by the USGS. San Francisco area, Bay Area, pretty quiet. Not a whole lot going on. A couple smaller microquakes there. No earthquakes there across the Newberry volcano there in Oregon. That will be interesting to watch here as they're planning a geothermal exploration there into creating energy, similar to what we see down in the Clear Lake volcanic field. And we are expected to see an uptick in earthquake activity out here, depending on where their exploration takes place here around that volcano in Oregon, Newberry Volcano. Last erupted there about 1,700 years ago. Quiet for now. Cascadia subduction zone quiet. We'll check out the tremor a little bit later on this evening. See if anything's stirring back up out there. One of the latest quakes here in the last hour. Moderate quake around the Vanuatu region, 5.1. This is south of the area that had that 7-pointer here in the last week. Just a little bit further south here along that plate boundary. 7.3, very decent sized earthquake, shaking things up there around the Port Villa area. So continue to watch that. Looks like it's starting to migrate a little bit here around the plate boundary southward. New Zealand seeing some further threes out there. Really nothing big for now. Older movement here yesterday, just west of the Macquarie Island region. Got a super deep quake here. It's going to be outside the Solomon Islands region, 4.5. Japan area, really not showing any further movement. That 4.2 there from last night, 3.8. I guess that's one of the more recent quakes here. Really nothing big. Just got to watch this area here around the Philippines. It is showing some heightened activity here in a pretty good cluster with really no main quake yet. Some activity around the India area and China. Really nothing big for now. Bunch of twos across the Mediterranean region. Atlantic Ocean, some older activity there from yesterday. Looks like maybe a newer quake there into the Iceland region. But overall, looks like, looks like a typical day here on this planet. We'll definitely continue to watch things out here across the Alaska area. Minimal movement. A couple earthquakes there above the 2.5 threshold, but again, that's very common on any given day out there. Space weather activity, things starting to stir up there. Notice on the X-ray flux chart showing some very spiky activity. That tells me right there that we're getting a sunspot on the Earth-facing side that's getting quite unstable. As you can see here, since last night, things have taken a turn for a more active reading here on the graph. A lot of C flares and even a couple M flares in there. Looks like we're currently recovering from an M flare, an M1.7. And the culprit More than likely, well, it looks like there's one over here around the western limb. That's going to be out of sight, out of mind here soon. But I think the culprit of this unstable spikiness there on the graph is going to be this area down here. Looking quite active there on the UV filter. It would be nice to have this beautiful magnetogram image here that I could be able to spot out the complexity areas of a sunspot, but this is still offline. We have the black and white version here, but it's, I don't know. It just really doesn't give us all that much of a visual in terms of the polarity differences in the sunspots that would make it, a complex sunspot. But 3927, it looks like, and maybe a newer sunspot there just south of the area. So 3927 here. It says it's a beta structure. We'll have to watch that. It is definitely producing some flaring right now. Overall threat, 5% for an X flare, 40% for M flare. C flare for 99% chance there for a C flare, but I have a feeling these are going to go up as we got this newer sunspot area kind of sizzling here on the X-ray flux chart. No major roars in the forecast there for now, folks. We'll continue to keep an eye on that as that active region gets more into the Earth-directed view. Looking at the next 5 asteroid approaches here in terms of close approaches to the Earth, well, really nothing of any major concern. A lot of house-sized asteroids venturing towards the planet, but at a safe distance, as noted here. Even 656,000 miles is a pretty safe distance. All right, Storm Prediction Center. No severe weather out there in the forecast for now. A look at the numerical weather models out here. A little bit of snow up there around the Dakotas area from a low pressure system, along with a lot of cold air dipping down from the Canada area. Out here along the west coast, we are expecting our next rainmaker here. Early morning Saturday this weekend. Rest of the country pretty clear. That low pressure system will move on out of here, make room for another rainmaker as we start next week. A little bit more stronger system looks like as well around Tuesday of next week for California. We're just getting a lot of rainfall here at once, and that's good. Everything's holding up far as the reservoirs and the rivers and streams. Well, streams, they're gonna flood like always when we get some big time weather events out here, but really nothing of any major activity. The ground is pretty well soaked, so I think if anything we'll see more flooding concerns from this series of storm systems that are coming up now that everything's just super soaked. So that's a pretty big event here as well. Looks like day after Christmas there, and another one behind that, and even another strong one behind that. So a series of storm systems that are coming into the west coast with the total accumulated precipitation runs here showing quite a whopping of precipitation there across Northern California. Down here in the Sacramento Valley, probably pick up another 5 inches of rainfall from the series of storm systems that are coming in. Bunch of snow up in the mountains, of course. Crazy. All right, what else is there? I think that's it for now, folks. Even though things are somewhat quiet, all it takes is an earthquake here around this region, maybe trigger some response around the plate boundaries here in terms of seeing some elevated activity. We'll definitely watch it. Not always active out here. There's always going to be microquakes and stuff like that, but as far as elevated activity, it comes and goes in waves. And Northern California looks like it's just taking a little break here, but we'll see what happens. No further activity here across the South America region following yesterday's super deep earthquake. That was 359 miles deep here into the Peru Chile Trench. Looks like there's a handful of shallow adjustment up there around the subduction zone area, but really nothing big for now. All right. Have a good day, folks. Let me know if you get a notification on this update video here. I'm trying to keep tabs on whether, the notifications are being sent out like they're supposed to. So if you get this video and you're watching it, let me know here in the comments of this update video that you got a notification from YouTube when I put out this video. So I appreciate it. Have a good one. Take care. And we'll catch you guys out here a little bit later on.